Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom Moore. Tom, how's it going?
Well, Tony, it felt like that was pretty much exactly the football game we were all anticipating they were going to have. And of all the football games, it was certainly one of the most football games there was. The whole game felt like they were just kind of checking the boxes. They got each one of the wide receivers a pass. And I turned to Adam, the photographer from the Dispatch. I said, all right, next pass is going to a tight end because they've checked all the boxes for the wide receivers. And the next pass went to Will Kesmerick for a touchdown. And then Michael, good buddy, a longtime friend of the program, Michael, one of the other photographers down the field, he said, they're going to go to Jeremiah here. And then boom, it was just kind of like, you could just tell, okay, what are the boxes they're going to check? What order are they going to check them in? And boy, they checked them all.
Well, I would say then they got home and realized, oh, shoot, we forgot to get Max Clare at the store.
We had Max Clare at home.
No, and so Max Clare with one for 7. I thought a couple of times they were going to dial something up for him. But it was Will Kesmerick's turn. Then it was Jelani Thurman's turn. It will eventually be Max Clare's turn. But boy, wow, what a performance by Julian Sayin. And yes, it was Grambling State. We'll say that now. We'll say it later on during the show. 18 of 19 with the lone incompletion being that interception. He was on point. Ryan Day said, yeah, sure, he had some open receivers, but he also had some covered receivers that he put the ball right where it needed to be. Told you before the game he was going to go 12 for 12 to start. I was right.
You were right. And he was 16 for 16 at one point, right? Isn't that exactly what Will Howard did in the national championship game? Yeah, he was 16 for 16 as well. And then threw a pick. Only one incompletion all day, and it was a pick.
No footballs hit the ground, though, so that was good. But that one, he got greedy, and he said it was a bad decision. Clearly it was. It was like, again, checking that box. Okay, I need to get this one to Cardell-Tate. Mm-hmm. And he was waiting, and it did not work out for him. But I think this is one of the questions I wanted to ask Ryan Day, and then Dylan Davis asked it for me, it's to get this kind of mistake out of the way in this game, fantastic. Ryan Day said, yeah, you don't want interceptions, but this is a lesson that they will learn, and he will learn, and he'll take back with him. And it's better to do it here than any other game this season. I don't know. I don't. What was the score when that happened? Like 56-0 or something?
No, quite that
it would have
high.
Been like 35, because this would have been in the first half, right?
So that was 28-0. Yeah, the Ohio State's drives in order: touchdown, 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 interception, touchdown, 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 punt, touchdown.
And I missed that punt.
You missed the punt, yes. One of my bold predictions was that Nick McLarty would have a punt of 55 yards or longer.
Well, you were way off.
And I was,
45.
45, yeah. Yeah, he had the space to do it. And I thought, well, the wind was going against him. But I thought maybe that would have been the funniest way possible to win the bold prediction. But alas.
Saw Jeremiah Smith with the 87-yarder to kind of get him off the schneid. Get him going a little bit. That was one that Julian said they had been working on and clearly executed that one. It was so easy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was one where he just sort of ran past everyone and caught it and then ran. And it didn't feel like he was even really hit the afterburners. He was clear of everyone by 10 yards, it felt like. And then, here's the
shagging some flies, basically.
Yeah. Here's the, one of the pictures of that. I'll punch some pictures in here.
I don't know where that 43 is. Like, I don't know how close he was to covering him, but you can't have anybody near him where at 43.
No, nowhere. He wasn't that close. That's got to be 10 yards behind.
I think there's a guy right there too. With there's shadow.
Yeah, there's someone on the sideline, but he was also not particularly close. So, yeah, it was not. No one. There was never a moment when you thought, he's going to get caught from behind. No. Ryan Dahl Super Chat says, will Texas watch this game film to figure out how to convert a 4th and 1?
Maybe they did some of that on their own today, but there was a point where it was like, what if Grambling State scores more than Texas? Texas, how would they feel about that?
Would Texas have to stop playing football? People are asking.
And but that did not happen, and Ohio State held the shutout. Again, how many shutouts have we seen over the years get lost by the young guys? And that was not the case.
Yeah, no.
In this one, Riley Pettyjohn, we can go up and down all of the people that stood out, but when he was in there, he made an impact, even from his first tackle to cleating a guy. And then forcing the fumble, recovering a fumble, obviously taking it in. And Ryan Day was also impressive. He stood out basically.
Oh yeah. He was someone you saw him early. You saw him often. I didn't mean to punch that in the show, but here we are. That's Will Kazmarek. I just want you to look inside his helmet. Look at the look on his face as he is scoring that touchdown. That is one happy gentleman right there. Scoring. That was the first touchdown of the game. Made a nice catch right over the middle. I mean, it was one of those, like, if they're not looking to stop the tight end specifically, you've got no chance. Like, you have to have a plan specifically for this guy, and if you don't, you're in trouble. And they did not have a plan for Will Kazmarek on that play.
I don't know how many teams come in and say, "Hey, we got to stop 89."
Yeah, well,
and as Ryan Day said, that was a perfect 1-incher because the defense has their back turned to the quarterback and the receiver is open, and Julian Sayin went right down the seam, and that was the throw that Will Howard was not able to make against Oregon. Like that's the throw that kind of got hurt on. Will Kazmarek did missed a bunch of games, but Julian Sayin zipped it right in there. And again, that's two really good games from Julian Sayin where he looks like he's in complete control and has no panic. And
yeah, he was just very efficient, very effective. 18 for 19, 306 yards, 4 touchdowns in the pick, and you take the pick out of there, and you're 18 for 18 for 306 yards and 4 touchdowns, and that's one of the great days in Ohio State football history. You look at the pick and you kind of go, all right, well, yeah, but that was a game where that looked exactly like that game should have looked, and we'll get to Mickey Joseph, who's the Grambling coach. He was very, very honest in the post game press conference as he was earlier in the week. Had some really interesting stuff to say. We'll get to some of that later on, but that's one of those games where I think people look at it and go, yeah, so what? It was Grambling. And yeah, so what? It was Grambling, but that's exactly what that should have looked like. That was it was not like Ohio State was breaking out anything fancy. It was not. That was just Ohio State just going, our players are better at football than your players, and they're going to score many touchdowns, and they're going to stop you from getting many yards. And you look at the stats from the game, and 8 different players rushed the ball. 10 different players had receptions. They had 4 different guys rush for touchdowns, 4 different guys catch touchdowns. It was just very, very efficient, very, very easy. And then they had a defensive touchdown as well. Yeah. So they had scored 10 touchdowns and only one guy scored more than one. So
and multiple touchdowns in every quarter.
Yeah.
I will say, during our bold predictions, you would not let me have 10 yards per play over the course of the game.
And that's because that was not bold, because it was going to happen, but then it didn't.
9.9.
Yes.
That would have been painful. I mean, it was painful already that I didn't get that one, but the number of, as you said, the sheer number of players that played is exactly what you wanted. That's why we talked about this being a spring game in September, where you get everybody out there, except now the stats count. And that's some of these guys are going to take these stats into next week and try to build on them moving forward.
Dave K we should be super chatting you. He says somewhere Tate Martell is popping champagne. Yes, 10 for 10, Tony. You can't beat perfection. And Julian Sayin certainly tried.
He tried.
Cannot beat perfection.
You cannot go full Tate Martell. But yes, I'm sure it's a Saturday night, so why wouldn't you? Or it's a Saturday afternoon in Vegas right now. Still, why not?
Still, why not? Yeah. I thought Ohio State did a very nice job getting a ton of guys in. I have not seen the official participation report yet, but the ones got a half, the 2s got basically the third quarter, the 3s got basically the fourth quarter. And then you had walk-ons, you had multiple former club football players on a kickoff coverage after that last that last touchdown. That was exactly what you want to do with that game. Now, we have talked over the years, and put your earmuffs on, about to say something nice about Michigan. Michigan does a very good job with this type of game, getting 12 guys to run the ball and 10 guys to catch the ball, all that kind of stuff. That was as good a job as I've seen Ohio State do with that, where it wasn't, they weren't giving carries to guys who will never, ever carry the ball again. But it was a very, very good use of all of those reps. We talked this week about how precious each of those game reps is. And you got Bo Jackson 9 carries. You got Isaiah West 8 carries. You got Sam Dixon 3 carries. I mean, you're getting guys on the field. Can we talk for a minute about Bo Jackson? Because
If we must,
there was a moment when he was streaking down the right sideline, and I thought he was about to run for a second long touchdown, and I thought, I hope I can beat everyone else to tweeting, why don't they build the whole plane out of Bo Jackson? Because boy, we've been talking about Bo Jackson for a while. I think this is the game where everyone kind of went, oh, they weren't kidding.
Yeah, no, I think we did not get to see him against Texas. I assume this might be the last time we don't see him in a game moving forward.
Yeah, maybe.
Because even Ryan Day said he's going to play the season, maybe not, early, meaning that Texas game. But I think he fumbled the ball out of bounds, so maybe on one of his runs is what somebody was saying. So
okay.
Perhaps a little bit of don't ever do that again.
Yeah.
Now you need to be punished a little bit.
Yeah.
But everybody saw what we've seen in camp and what his teammates and coaches know he can do. And he's impressive. And this is our first time seeing Isaiah West really
at all. Yeah.
Because the pre-practices we got to see in fall camp, he still wasn't ready to go yet. And I thought he looked pretty good. Got to see, as you said, Sam Dixon again out there for the first time in a while. Does it mean anything against Grambling? No, but it's stuff that they can take forward. Mm-hmm. And as Ryan Day said, I asked him, games like this, you can when you can still see guys do what they do in practice, and then take it to the game. Doesn't matter what kind of game it is, you're able to see them perform in the shoe in front of people against a real live team. That gives you confidence that the next time they can do it as well. I expect to see Bo Jackson playing next week against Ohio.
Yeah, I would expect for sure to see Bo Jackson, because I think you saw. I mean, again, I would like to know if he did fumble the ball, because that will be something that will impact. That might impact when you see him next. But I would expect to see him next weekend. And by the way, let's just start this conversation right now. It's not going to be 70-0 next weekend, because Ohio beat West Virginia today, 17-10. So this is, I hope you all got the, we're all going to sit in the pleasant afternoon sun and watch some marching bands and watch a bunch of guys parade into the end zone, just the conga line into the end zone.
No,
I hope you enjoyed that. That's not what next weekend.
No, I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a fun game, and one that people will need to be involved in. And a night game, of course, means that everybody's going to be very involved in it, as Clemson is about to run away with this one, as eventually expected.
Yeah. Hang on. Go back up to the Navy. Navy's up 31-24. All right. And in the comments here, Kevin has dropped the video of the halftime show. I know that was something that everyone was really interested in, so we made a point. The fellas did a nice job getting that together and getting that posted. So make sure you check that out after the post game show, but before the morning show. It's a very strict order here. You got to stay in order.
And we want to move over to Lincoln Keno is finally getting to throw the ball a little bit and have an opportunity to run by choice.
Yeah.
Was good compared to what his life has been previously as the Ohio State quarterback. He was 6 or 7. I did not get my 111 yards or whatever that I was boldly predicting. Tavian St. Clair out there and a pass that was dropped, but good to see him out there. And overall, basically, this used to be a game if you're not going to redshirt, you're going to play in this game.
Yeah.
This year, if you're going to redshirt, you're going to play in this game. And if you were healthy, Brody London was out there.
Yep.
Freshman tight end. Basically, I'd have to go through and see. I think just about anybody that could.
Yeah, everyone who was not on the availability report was out there. They ran 3 full offensive lines out there.
Yeah, so the Armstrong brothers out there.
Yeah, they had. Yep. They had. They had a ton of guys out there. Carter Lowe, true freshman offensive tackle, was out there. That's exactly what you use this game for. This is a perfect use of this game. Does it mean anything? Not a thing. Not a thing. And that's fine. This is a great opportunity. So now you have some film to teach off of for Carter Lowe. You've got plenty of film to teach off from Ian Moore at left tackle. Justin Terry, the West Virginia transfer, he was a second team right tackle. You got film now to teach off of for him. But you looked at all these true Eppies Satonales out there a bunch. you got film for him now because he wasn't here in the spring. So you don't have spring game film for him. So now you got actual game film for him. This is a really, really valuable resource for the team. It was, and this was just like about as low stress as you could possibly have a football game. Like Ohio State fans, I think, came in going, well, I hope they don't look terrible at any point. Like punt the ball at one point when the game's even slightly in doubt. Nope. Not even, nope.
No,
so.
no. Defensively, Arvell Reese was quiet. That's unfortunate. No, overall, they kept the shutout as we talked about. You saw Zion Grady out there chasing the quarterback. Mm-hmm. He got a sack. You mentioned Epi Satanale. Dominic Kirks and Josh Mickens were out there. Eric Mensa. And it's like,
yeah.
If you could go, you were out there, and they were able to just continue to hold form. And again, Grambling State.
Well, I think you could have a legitimate question: which is more challenging, Ohio State scout team or Grambling? And that's not to be disrespectful, but you look at the ones, and then when the ones were replaced by the twos, I don't know that the gap got any smaller. The gap might have gotten bigger because looking at the Grambling team coming out, it was like, oh, these guys are all 6 inches shorter than their Ohio State counterparts. And, there's the defensive linemen all look like they should be nicknamed snacks, right? Like they don't, and that's, that sounds mean, but you're not choosing the recruits. You don't have access to recruits that Ohio State does. You also don't have access to the strength and conditioning kind of program, and the nutrition program, and all the other stuff that Ohio State has. Ohio State has so many built-in advantages of a program like that this is Ohio State and Purdue are kind of playing the same sport, but not entirely. Ohio State and Kent State are kind of playing the same sport, but like that's 2 degrees or 3 degrees of separation. Grambling's another degree of separation. Well, it's almost like 4 levels of the sport lower. So this is like one of these European soccer competitions where the Premier League team has to play the team from League 2, and it's like, that's an old mill town, and you're going in to play Man City. Like, how is it going to go? Like, that's how it went. But
congratulations to the South Florida Bulls on their win over the Gators.
They did not.
18-16.
Oh my. Well,
we're doing a show here.
South Florida 18, Florida 16. Final. Further Bolton's events weren't.
No, not yet.
So that's listen, everyone has always said the real barometer of a conference strength is how they do against East Tennessee State. And Tennessee killed them. So
and right now Oklahoma is first and goal at the Michigan 9, as you may know, but you're watching us, so how would you?
Yes.
You mentioned like the second and third team for the defense, like TJ Alford gets in there and he's like throwing somebody down.
Good.
Garrett Stover's in there, and then Malik Hartford, Fahim Delane with the twos. Like those are 2 hungry guys. This was a young group of hungry defenders looking to show like, I can play more. It doesn't just have to be against Grambling State. It can be against Ohio. It can be against Washington. And watching some of Washington this past week, DeMond Williams is going to be a nightmare for the linebackers trying to tackle him. But just the young guys getting out there was everything you wanted to see.
Yeah, for sure. The linebacker room at Ohio State, I don't know that people have completely wrapped their arms around just how good it is and just how good a job James Laurinaitis has done there in a relatively short amount of time in terms of recruiting, in terms of development. But you've got, the ones, Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles. I think everyone's feeling great. You're having potential, it's early, potential All-American kind of conversations about the first team guys. Then you got Peyton Pierce right behind them, who they feels like he's almost interchangeable with the starters. He led the team in tackles today with 6. Then you got Garrett Stover. Then you got the 2 true freshmen, Riley Pettyjohn and TJ Alford. And Eli Lee was out there as well. But this is one of these games where you find out, okay, what's the depth chart really? And
correct.
I feel like we could put together a depth chart now based on, okay, now we really know what, you can say what you want, show us what you think. We saw it today. But, Riley Pettyjohn and TJ Alford, both, they were out there and you immediately went, okay, this, again, the stipulation, it's Grambling. We get it. We understand. Second game of your college career, that's what it should look like. If we're not saying they're going to be All-Americans this year, But okay, it feels like the future of the Ohio State linebacker room is in pretty decent shape with Peyton Pierce and Garrett Stover, and then the true freshmen.
Yeah, those two, T.J. Alford and Riley Pettyjohn, are just physically immediate.
Yeah.
Let's hit some. You got anything else that you wanted to hit on? Caden Curry, 2 tackles for loss, was a menace in that first half for the Buckeyes. It was also good to finally see Malik Hartford out there getting some time at free safety.
Caden McDonald forced fumble, Riley Pettyjohn forced fumble, Caleb Downs with the interception. That was Caleb Downs. I want to go back and watch a TV copy because that was as much of a, like, I have a picture of the quarterback throwing the ball, and then all of a sudden, just like that much later, Caleb Downs already has the ball, and it felt like one of those, you're playing the video game and you're like, oh, come on, no one could get it. But he just had it.
You'd be so mad if your quarterback is the one throwing that.
Oh yeah,
like, that's impossible. But no, he just grabbed it. And then there was much laughter because it's like, how does that even happen?
Yeah,
because it was just like he couldn't get away from the ball.
Yeah,
even if he wanted to, he couldn't get away from it. It's just stuck to it.
Yeah. All right. So was there something else you wanted to get to before?
No.
Okay.
We can hit the questions.
All right. We can hit some questions. Go ahead and punch those in. Lisa says, okay, this game is over. Nothing much to take from it. Now it's time to get ready for Ohio next weekend. And I cannot emphasize strongly enough. Next weekend is a very different game from this weekend. I know everyone kind of lumps in, you're on the top of the mountain and everything down there looks small. Ohio is a lot further. Ohio is, if Grambling is base camp, Ohio is several camps up Everest from, there are some colorful hikers, who are now landmarks on between Grambling and Ohio. Yeah.
Parker Navarro, Ohio quarterback, there's 3 interceptions in this game.
Yeah, but
still won.
Yeah, but let me tell you, let me clue you, as my grandmother-in-law would say. Ohio State fans are going to really, really not enjoy the Parker Navarro experience. He's going to drive you nuts.
3rd and 70, you're going to hate him because he's scramble.
There was on Ohio's last drive. I was trying to follow along in the press conference, and it was 3rd and 9 at Parker Navarro, scramble for 10 yards, first down, game over. You are going to hate the Parker Navarro experience. Make your peace with it right now. They're going to give up some first downs. They're going to give up some points next week. You're going to be so annoyed. Just make your peace with it right now.
He threw for 247 yards and rushed for 87. He's just a pain.
Yeah, and West Virginia is not a bad team. That's not a bad West Virginia. It's not a great West Virginia team, but it's not a bad West Virginia team. Mike Farino says, how's it going, guys? Happy with the win. Ohio's going to be a competent team next week. Shouldn't be close, but it's not going to be cakewalk. Yeah, I think that's exactly right. This week we said, that the implied line is something like 62 points. Next week, I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked at the power rankings, but 28 or 32 or something like that would not be,
feels like a lot though.
But. Yeah. But I think you're looking at half of the gap in terms of points or maybe less. Doug says, I was willing to give people a mulligan for last week because of the first game jitters. But after today, I'm disappointed in his lack of burst. He was
8 for 59, long of 12, averaged 7.4 yards per carry, and like every carry went for 6 to 12 yards.
Right. It was, he did, he didn't break a long one, but he also was just very efficient. They were on schedule every single time he carried the ball, right?
Yeah. You always want to see somebody break it in the game like this one, like Bo Jackson.
Right.
Where it's like, there should be some long runs in this one. And then last week was not the start that he wanted, but we'll see. Because again, like I've even got people in my DM saying, "Where's the burst?" I was expecting more, and I think it's still early. And 7.4 yards per carry will get it done now.
Right. Yeah,
this is Grambling.
But if you adjust that to 7.4 yards per carry, if you go ahead and take a couple of yards of carry off there, that's still not, he doesn't have the long one that's skewing it. Mm-hmm. So if you're, instead of running for 6 to 12 yards per carry, you're running for 4 to 8 yards every time. You'll take that. That will keep you on schedule too.
That's exactly what Bo Jackson did. Minus the long one.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, and Bo Jackson was also out there against the 2s and probably the 3s at some point. So yeah, I would say it's probably too early to write anyone off I would strongly suggest it's too early to write anyone off. So, Warbug says, before the game, I said the biggest question was whether this team, as young as it is, avoided the pitfall of playing down to their competition. They very much did.
Yeah, Ryan Day talked about how on Tuesday practice was kind of like, and he thought it was maybe just, they were just tired from the physicality of the Texas game rather than, there's like an exhale. And then they picked it up on Wednesday and then certainly just kept picking it up in this one because there was no letdown. And now I could say it could have been worse. There were 2 drives that weren't scores. They got just about all the points they could have, but this is certainly as bad as it needed to be. And there was nothing that you saw. You're like, oh, that's concerning. I think maybe the most concerning thing is giving up like 94 yards rushing. But again, your first team is only out there for 2 quarters. And
right.
I don't you can only make so much from this game either way.
Yeah, I mean, they really only had 1 drive of any real consequence. That was a 12-play, 56-yard drive that ended in the field goal attempt. And that was, at that point, the game was 21-0.
Yeah.
And,
that's where it felt like there's maybe just a little bit of an exhale from Ohio State.
I think that's kind of the point where you're up 3 score, you kind of go, and that's the end of that chapter. And when I was in college and we would play video games, EA Sports, if you were up 21-0 on someone, we called it a stanky booty, and you had to turn it off and the next person played.
Right.
It felt a little like that. You had a little bit of a hangover there.
I did see Sonny Styles yelling stanky booty to his brothers.
Yes. What do you think he meant?
I know.
Troy B says, it was so cool seeing Jake Cook with a pancake block. Kid is going to be the next generation on the line. He is with the 3s right now. He was with the 2s in camp, and then Ethan Onyanwa was with the 2s at right guard. So then Cook ended up with the 3s at left guard. But he's someone who, he's a local kid. He's a Westerville kid. So we've seen him at camps. And there was a time 3-4 years ago when he was at camps, and it was just like, really nice kid, but obviously this is not going to happen. And he has really, really, he looks nothing like he looked before, and has really gotten himself to the point where he's playing ahead of guys who are older than him. If you're a true freshman and you're out there, like, okay, that's someone who, it's not going to happen this year. Maybe it'll happen next year. We'll see what the depth chart looks like. There's plenty of talented guys who will probably be back next year, but he's going to be in the mix for sure. And he's someone who he is probably a buy and hold stock rather than like, this is going to be an immediate, but he's already light years ahead of where I would have expected him to be.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably around where Austin Searveld was, where like you're not, maybe even beyond it, because we're already talking about it. We didn't talk about Austin Searveld until last August.
Right.
That was,
yeah.
I don't know how much we talked about him in the spring, frankly. But this is a guy who's certainly more advanced than anticipated by the recruiting rankings, but none of that he doesn't subscribe to any of that. Like, he just continues to play and was, as you said, with the 2s. And then of course everybody moves down a peg with Ethan Onyanwa playing guard. And then I assume Gabe Van Sickle is with the 2s.
Yeah. He was at left guard with the 2s.
Guard.
Yep.
Yeah. So that all makes sense.
And Gabe Van Sickle is another guy who this is a, maybe you should mail some flowers out to Justin Fry in Arizona, because he has done, there were a lot of guys who people looked at and you saw the 3-star heaven comments and all that kind of stuff. There are a lot of those guys who, whether it's Austin Searveld or Gabe Van Sickle or Jake Cook, a lot of those guys who were not the higher class, who are already starting to show like, hey, there was some pretty good talent evaluation and some pretty good development as well. And, that credit has to kind of go a little bit to Justin Fry, but also to Tyler Bowen and Charlie Dickey. I mean, the whole group of offensive line coaches here.
I would suggest succulents.
Sorry. Very smart. Rob says, will you guys wish me a happy birthday tomorrow to me? My name is Rob DeCaro. No.
Super chat.
Happy birthday, Rob. Happy early birthday. Butch wants to know, how do you guys think Lincoln and St. Clair looked?
Tavian was 0 for 2. One of those was a drop. I don't know I don't recall what the other one was. I may have been moving downstairs from the field. Lincoln, he had the one throw behind maybe his first throw
Was
as the receiving, first or second.
Yeah, that was up behind Bryson Rogers, I think.
But and he wasn't necessarily asked to do too much, but he did have the touchdown throw to Jelani Thurman in the back of the end zone. So happy for him that he got 7 opportunities to read a defense and throw the ball. I think he could have, he's an athletic guy, as we know, as everybody will tell you. So he could be involved in the running game. Maybe next time they have one of these games, certainly the next time he has one of these games, not one of these, but where he's closing things out. You might see him run the ball a little bit more, but I am glad that they threw the ball with him and glad that they threw with Tavian St. Clair in the fourth quarter because these guys have to get their reps in.
Right, exactly. This is, you look at last year, this was Julian Sayin, who was the third guy in, and he's getting just these, and you're getting 2 throws at the end of the Michigan State game or whatever it is, and they're incomplete, but it almost doesn't matter. You've got to have, okay, you took the snap. What did you see from the defense? Why did you make the decision that you made? This is all of these things are if you had it to do over again, what would you do?
Yeah.
Like this is all stuff you can teach off of, and you can teach off of other guys' reps, but teaching off of your own reps is so much more valuable. And Tavian St. Clair, he's a true freshman. He's a 3 right now. If he ends up being the starter at some point this year, that is probably not real good news for Ohio State. But this is all stuff that matters for next year, that matters for the year after that. This is just the start of the process for him. And those are all very valuable reps. And it's great, like you said, that they went in and they're kind of running the offense. You're not being a jerk. You're not running the triple option, reverse, whatever. You don't have your starters in. Everyone understands. Mickey Joseph coached at LSU. He's a big boy. He knows. He understands what you're doing. You're not being a jerk. If you've got your 3s in, you got your 4s in, your 5th running back in, you're giving your 5th running back carries. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, you know what this is at this point. So.
Yeah, I will say the touchdown pass to Carnell Tate from Julian Sayin, beautiful throw, great catch, but it did kill Julian Sayin's touchdown pass average length because 55-yarder last year to Bennett Christian, 40-yarder to Carnell Tate, 47 to Will Kazmarek today, 87-yarder. Like, this dude, all he does is throw deep touchdowns, and then there's a 13-yarder to Carnell Tate and a 9-yarder to Jeremiah Smith, and it's like you're killing your average. Man.
Yeah, and there's the touchdown pass to Carnell Tate.
Great grab. I think he got a foot and the hand down before he went out of bounds, and certainly I still think Julian was trying to reward him again later on, and that's what led to the interception.
Yeah,
but just throw it higher and let him go get it, just like that photo.
Well, and that's the thing. You look at that, and the guy's not in bad position, but he doesn't have his head around. And also, Tate is probably 2 feet higher than him.
Yeah.
Like that as a corner, that's man, what do you want me to do? Like I can't compete with this kind of thing. All right, so Jeffrey McDowell says, is Bo Jackson worthy of top pair? I mean, can I give you the real boring coaching answer?
Yes, please, because that's what I was going to say.
The real boring coaching answer is, well, how is he at pass protection? How is he in terms of running, catching the ball out of the backfield? How is he in terms of ball security? Because can take a handoff and run a long way is great. That's very exciting. That's like 20% of being part of the top pair of running backs. Right. And we have not seen enough of Bo Jackson to be able to tell you, yes, for sure. We have seen enough of him that we've been telling you since the spring. Yeah, man, watch this space. You now understand why we're saying, yeah, man, watch this space. But it's, this is like, well, the tight end can do all these exciting things. Great. Can he block? Because that's the stuff that the coaches are looking at.
Yeah, and we didn't see enough. We saw, when you watch Bo Jackson in practice, you see somebody special. Mm-hmm. But we don't see him picking up blitzes, and we don't see him protecting the ball necessarily because they punch it out, but they're not tackling.
Right.
They'll punch at it. But yeah, the protection of the ball and of the quarterback, no idea. And it's rare for freshmen to be able to handle that really well. Like Maurice Claret, as a true freshman, he was like the best pass blocking running back on the team. Travion Henderson was very good at that as a true freshman, and then just continued to get better. Mm-hmm. It's not a trait that they necessarily come in with, because how often is Bo Jackson pass protecting in high school? How often are any of these guys pass protecting in high school? I think Carlos Loughlin said the same thing of himself. He's like, We're not throwing the ball. I'm running it. And so it's just a lot of development and growth. And they have to be able to play all 3 downs and sometimes all 4 downs, and may not get the ball in any of those 4 steps.
Right. Well, and you got to remember, these are guys who have all been the best player on every team they've ever been on, with the exception maybe of the guys who are playing for like the massive South Florida high schools or whatever. Bo Jackson has always been the best high school player, the best player on every single football team he's ever been on, almost certainly. And when you are that guy, what does the coach want to do? The coach wants to say, well, let's give it to the guy who's faster and can make everyone miss. And, because I look smart when I run toss right and then the guy makes 17 people miss. You're not being asked to do a lot. You're not being asked to do the unsexy stuff because you're very good at doing the stuff that is like, oh, look, another highlight reel touchdown. Right. How about that? Florida Buckeyes has told Mark earlier, best second half I've seen in 50 years. Great to see the youngsters get some reps. Will pay off later this year. I think, yes, it'll pay off later this year. This is a game that's also going to pay some dividends in 2026, 2027, and on.
Yeah, I always grew up liking these games because you got to see the next stars, and I think you saw quite a few next stars for Ohio State, not necessarily this year, but you already know the names, and you're in on the ground floor on a lot of these guys.
Well, the last time they played an HBCU team was Florida A&M in 2013. Do you know who the young running back who had a big day that you didn't really hear from the rest of the season was?
Yep, Ezekiel Elliott, I believe, like 14 for 162 that day with a pair of touchdowns.
Yes, so again, this is not you're going to see these guys make huge impact plays in 2 games against Washington. Probably not. But in maybe later this year, we've seen true freshmen take the sort of Chris Olave path where you play a much bigger role and later in the season. Garrett Wilson has done that and guys like that. But these are guys who are going to be impact players in the future, whether that's a month from now or a year from now, we'll see.
Yep.
Mozart's Go says tight ends were feasting today. JJ must be freeing them up.
Yeah, and the tight ends, as we know, Tom, who has been telling everybody that this is the year of the tight end? Of course, we have. Kevin as well, as he holds up his hand. We have all been saying this. So you had Jelani Thurman with 3 catches, Will Kazmarek with 2, Max Clare with the 1, Bennett Christian with 1, and it's Nate Roberts. I thought he would get one today just because.
He had one attempted to him. I thought it might be a catch, but I think it was behind him or something. So, that was one of the Tavian St. Clair throws.
Yeah, and again, we've been saying it's the deepest room perhaps in the nation. Certainly the deepest room on this Ohio State roster. And as the tight ends, I was asking them a couple weeks ago, is this the best room on the team? I'm like, yes, of course it is. And only the defensive backs would argue. Basically, it's like, well, that's just how defensive backs are. They will argue. And we've seen almost nothing from Max Clare yet in the passing game.
Yeah.
He was involved in the running game on some of these tosses and so getting some stuff outside going. There will be the Max Clare game at some point this season. Didn't need it today, so no worries there.
You didn't need it today, but I think the Max Clare conversation goes back to some of the stuff we were talking about with Bo Jackson. Max Clare is not the best blocker on the team in terms of the tight ends. That's Will Kazmarek. So, I mean, I don't know what the snap counts were for those 2 guys. Last week, Will Kazmarek played more than Max Clare.
So did Bennett Christian.
It's because those guys are trusted as better blockers. And, Max Clare is more on the wide receiver side of things than the tight end side of things. But they run a lot of inline tight end, and they got to be able to trust you to block. And, Max Clare obviously has a bright future at Ohio State, but you want to know why you're not seeing him as much? That's part of the reason.
Did you have any coaching? Did you have sound?
I do have. Do we have the Mickey Joseph sound ready to go? Yes. Okay. So was over with Grambling coach Mickey Joseph. This is going to be 2 sound bites in a row. You'll hear me asking a question. The first question I asked him was just sort of about your game plan going into a game like this. The score. He was very open earlier in the week about yeah, man, we're not going in there. We're going to shock the world. He gets it. He's not an idiot. He's not going to lie to his team. But he said they got to go in and play hard. That's what they want to do. But
they did.
And they did. Oh yeah, they played their butts off. Like there's a certain point where it's just kind of like, yeah, man, what do you want me to do? But I asked him, just sort of, when you're going up against a team like this, where you look around and it's like, hey, that's Jeremiah Smith. I know him from TV. And hey, there's Cardinal Tate and there's Julian Sayin. And boy, there are a lot of 5 stars out here. What are you doing? What's the game plan coming in this game? So you'll hear him answer that. And then you'll hear me kind of ask a follow-up question and he'll answer one more.
Well, I think you start this to make sure you can do what we're capable of doing against them, that you're not delusional. Like, I think some people are delusional. I think some people thought we was going to walk in here and go toe-to-toe with them. Not with 63 scholarships. What, they had a $35 million roster? I don't have a $35 million roster. Maybe we could put our money together and we come up with $35 million, but I doubt it. But yeah, so it's you take my hat off to Coach. Coach did a great job. Coach, they did a great job. Just being respectful with it. And, after the game, he told me, he said, you're right, you're going to have a good football team. I know I have a good football team on my level. And I don't have to face any more FBS Power Fives or Group of Fives. Everything now is D2 and FCS. So we good. We came out healthy. So I just told the boys, I said, don't pout, smile, keep your head up because you fought. See, sometimes when you fight like that, people respect you more. So we probably got their respect. They beat us, but they probably respect our kids. And they had good things to say. Those kids were very respectful from Ohio State. Y'all got a good football team. Absolutely, because when you don't have a big share revenue budget, a big NIL deal, we still recruiting kids on relationships. Kids trusting the coach and doing home visits and knowing who the family members are. So we do sell games like this because we have another stage with PV in Dallas. We have another stage with Jackson and in Vegas. We have another stage with Southern in New Orleans. So we do have some stages there, but this is going to help because we've been on this big stage. This is a great opportunity for my football team. They were excited to come in here. And, I just asked them, don't look at the scoreboard. Just fight. Just fight. So I'm hoping everybody, back in Graham will be positive with these young men because they came in here and they fought. I didn't wake up and say, hey, I want to play Ohio State. So we know the reason we had to do it and we did our job.
So you heard him real quickly mention having a stage with Southern down in New Orleans. That is the Bayou Classic. That is Thanksgiving weekend. Find that on TV. That is one of those like really cool college football things, like just spectacles. Find that at some point on Thanksgiving weekend. It used to be on the Friday, I think, of Thanksgiving weekend. Now it's now I'm not sure. I think it might be Saturday now. But yeah, that's one that's worth checking out. The other thing that I thought was very cool was halftime. Mm-hmm. Ohio State's assistant coaches. Some Ohio State assistant coaches, I think, were out a little earlier than they typically work to watch the Grambling band. Larry Johnson standing right almost like you almost need to get that coach for Larry Johnson during the band performance, like right on the edge of the white of the sidelines watching the band. Really not like looking like really rapt attention. That was a very, very, I think that was a cool thing for Ohio State fans to experience. And, I can't imagine even with all those things that Mickey Joseph was talking about, I can't imagine that Grambling band has got to play in front of 100,000 people very often. And, at one point in the press conference, he talked about how cool that was for his players and band and program and everything. So, yeah, I think that was one of those things where they got out, sounds like pretty healthy. Yeah. That's job one in a game like this. But I think it was a good experience for, the Grambling folks, but I think also a really, really fun experience for, Ohio State fans and also for a lot of the players who got to get some action.
Yeah, the Ohio State fans were very loud for the Grambling band at halftime. They're very, very supportive. Before the game, as the Ohio State band is marching out of the tunnel, I saw a lot of the members of the Grambling band in the stands, recording on their phones, and then the alumni band comes in. You see these people like the Grambling band members, how many people are there in this band? It's the alumni. Don't worry about it.
These people are so old. Is this 90210? What the heck?
Doctors in this band?
Yeah.
7 years.
Yeah.
So there you go. We had wrap up. If you could hit the thumbs up before we go. If you're watching live right now on YouTube, we'd appreciate it. And of course, when you listen to this later on, 5-star rating and review would be appreciated. And as always, continue to find us at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Sign up now. Check us out there on the Buckeye Huddle message board presented by Jeff Ruby's Columbus. Would love to chat with you. And again, some big games coming. A nice off week also coming up. But there's no off week when you cover Ohio State, when you want to talk about it. So we are there for you. Find us. Love to see you there. So thank you all for tuning in. And we'll talk to you guys later.